Welcome to Season 3 of Spoiler Alert, where we talk about and spoil the shows you're obsessed with. This week, we weigh in on Breaking Bad's latest masterpiece and offer our predictions for the finale.
You me, right?
We also share our picks for the returning shows we're most looking forward to, as well as the best and worst new shows. And lastly, we have a little Emmy preview for you.
I am not deliberately losing. I'm having a very off night.
Welcome, Kim, Matt.
How are you?
Hey.
Season 3, look at us. Breaking Bad, insane.
Totally insane.
I almost feel like that is where the final season will peak, and then it'll sort of come down from that. Because you kind of can't top that.
It was kind of a different insane from the week prior. Like, the episode with the shootout in the desert, that was just like so intense. Like, nobody was breathing while they were watching that.
Yeah.
This week, I almost felt sick watching it.
Yeah.
Hank basically getting put down like a dog.
Do what you're gonna do. Get on with it, motherfucker.
Every beat of that was just so almost nauseating.
When Jesse got sort of chained like a dog in the lab, I almost felt ill. It was almost too dark.
I mean, I remember thinking 10 minutes had passed and it was about 40. Like,
Well, and also, the opening credits didn't start until like 30 minutes in.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has ever happened.
Yeah.
I know we've agreed that Walt was basically pulling a scheme there when he was talking to Skylar and yelling at her at the end. He was basically, exonerating her. Do you feel like he was doing any of that when he ratted out Jesse out there in the desert?
Found him.
Or was he just looking to get Jesse killed?
I interpreted that as he was just looking to get Jesse killed.
Yeah, because if Todd doesn't speak up and say, well, golly gee willikers, we could use him to get some information, Jesse gets killed there.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's also a good point to raise is that even though Walt was definitely doing that to exonerate Skylar, he meant every word he said, too.
You never believed in me. You were never grateful for anything I did for this family.
I think that's why it worked so well. He's crying because he's upset, but he's also crying because he's really mad. He believed everything he said.
Right.
Oh, and then when he was collapsed in the desert after Hank got, shot, he had lost everything. He'd basically ceded his $80 million.
Yeah.
He lost Hank. He was losing, everything in his life. I felt so badly for Walt in that moment because he had lost everything despite trying to have something to show for his efforts over these years.
And the way the episode was going, Jesse could have easily died, and it wouldn't have been like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this. I also thought Skylar, in that tussle on the floor, was going to get knifed and die too.
That might have been too much, though. But
Yeah.
I was totally ready for that, too.
So predictions for the finale, who do you think will live and who do you think will die?
I think Walt's going to live, but I think he's going to have lost everything. I mean, the whole show has been about him getting back his life, and if not getting back his life, providing for his family. I think he's going to have his life, but it's not going to be worth anything because the family and the money will be gone.
Yeah.
Well, in the flash forwards, we've seen Walt getting a big gun and retrieving the ricin capsule. I think he's going to go to rescue Jesse using the gun. And I think the ricin's for himself. I think Walt's going to be dead at the end.
So they burned through so much story in this episode that I have to imagine one of the final two episodes is just going to be set around the flash forward. Because I don't know that there's enough material for 2 full episods of just where we are now.
Right, especially now that Walt has disappeared himself. Do we flash forward now for the remainder of the show?
I don't think for the remainder. I think we got one more episode in present time, and then it will jump ahead, I think, for the finale.
You me, right?
I don't know.
You think it's going to jump ahead next week?
I can see it jumping ahead this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I've already seen this week's episode, and you're wrong.
He's lying.
I am lying. I haven't seen it. No one has seen it.
I know.
Returning favorites. Fall season is officially underway. It really gets underway next week when there's like 100 premieres. The returning show you're most looking forward to? Matt, let's start with you.
I was really torn on this because I've been hearing really good things about Once Upon a Time Season 3 being much stronger than Season 2.
Who are we up against? Someone we all should fear.
I'm really curious about Arrow because they've added so much for Season 2. I think it could either be a much richer, better show than Season 1, or it could just get weighed down by all of that. But I'm going to go with How I Met Your Mother.
One ticket to Farhampton, please.
Which surprises me because I haven't watched the show in like 2 years. Wow. But I'm really curious to see if they stick the landing and somehow this season-long wedding weekend destination thing pans out.
Kim?
American Horror Story Coven.
Oh, nice call.
Yeah, every year that show with I just think Ryan Murphy's genius in the way that he's made it. That every season I'm going to tune in, even if it's the same people I've seen the season before. There's always new faces. The old people are playing new roles, and I find it not scary, but disturbing in a way that sticks with me week to week. So I cannot wait.
I'm going to go with The Good Wife. I feel like this could be the biggest shakeup the show has ever had in terms of Alicia and Carrie going off and starting their own firm. I think the show is going to handle that really well, and is going to disrupt sort of the premise in a really exciting way.
I'm in.
One returning favorite show we've already seen the premiere of. I think, Matt, you have seen it too?
Yes.
Revenge, and a lot of speculation about Revenge now that there's a new showrunner. Kim, let me start with you. What was your sort of snappy judgment?
Well, I was not a fan of last season, so basically anything that was not last season would have been good with me. But I'm going to give it an episode to get itself back together. I'm sorry. In the premiere, there's a lot of exposition. There's a lot of doing away with last season's The Initiative and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of clunky explanation that I hope is not a trend. I hope it's just there. That's what's happening in this episode. So,
And there's like lines of dialogue which basically say this is a reset. I mean, no one's got a line which says, all I care about is helping you get revenge on all those people who wronged your father.
Right.
And it's just like, it's basically like the billboard for the show.
It felt like they did away with almost everything, even some things I don't feel like they necessarily even had to do away with.
Right.
And we don't want to get too spoilery here. I also felt like even though last season when I didn't understand what was happening and it didn't make any sense, there still felt like there was an urgency to the show. It felt like everything was really important and do or die. This first episode felt a little too casual.
The thing I loved about Revenge, especially in the first season, is that there would always be that layer they'd peel back at the end, and you'd be like, oh, I didn't even realize, I didn't notice that, but now it's like, and it felt a little inartful the way that this episode was played out. There wasn't that layer. There was just like, this is what happened. Even not to give anything away, but the kind of takedown is a retread of a takedown from the first season.
Yeah.
And I think it was meant as a nod, but it just comes off kind of flat.
It came off almost lazy.
Right.
A big part of this episode is they bring in Victoria's long-lost son, Patrick.
They're sexy together, the two of them.
They're very
okay.
sexy
They're
together
very
in a way that's
sexy
just
together.
not right. But I just felt like the way that storyline played out in the episode was so stilted. It's like they wanted to introduce him, but they didn't really have the time to. And he just kind of like came here and there and a little bit, and here he's bare-chested, here he's not,
I
here
was
he
going to
meets...
say, he was wearing a towel. There was nothing wrong with that.
Well, and they did say that there's going to be a lot more, sort of salaciousness this season, which kind of makes sense. If you're going to hire all these beautiful people, strip their clothes off.
They do seem determined to make Charlotte happen this season.
Well, they seem determined to make Charlotte's bangs happen.
Well, that's definitely happened. Whether Charlotte herself happens remains to be seen, but they seem determined.
New shows. Let's call it must see and must flee. For me, must see, Masters of Sex.
Lean in close.
But not too close or you'll get poked in the eye.
You're saying watch out for the dildo.
One of the best pilots I have seen, perhaps since Mad Men.
That's on Showtime.
Must flee for me is Super Fun Night, which was nails on a chalkboard for me.
Would you mind passing me that stapler?
I love Rebel Wilson, but not funny in this at all.
Must see for me is Sleepy Hollow.
Oh.
I did not expect to like that pilot as much as I did.
liked it
I think
too.
the leads are really good together.
That building is also a Starbucks.
Yep.
Well, how many are there?
The show is kind of not taking itself too seriously, just the right amount of serious.
Mm-hmm.
So Must Flee for me is also Super Fun Night.
Oh.
It made me sad. The whole, it's a comedy and it made me sad.
Super Dumb Night?
Super sad night.
I'm going to coin that right now.
Okay,
I don't
good.
think anyone's
Super
done that.
Unlikable Three Friends Night?
Yeah.
That's too long of a title. For my must-see, I'm going to go with Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Nothing can stop us in the...
Hey, what up?
Just because I think that's the show that people are going to be talking about the next morning and throughout, the first couple weeks of its run.
Mm-hmm.
As far as must flee, I'm going to give that to, assuming that Dads isn't even in the equation. Let's just assume everyone's already fled Dads before it even came on the air.
Me, right?
I'm going to go with ABC's Betrayal, which has no redeeming value, is not entertaining, and it's just a romanticized depiction of adultery in a way that, they think they're picking up the ball where Scandal left off. They're not. It's just blah.
Also, in our prediction gallery that we just posted, we predicted it would be the first cancellation.
Quite possibly.
And I stand by that. Speaking of predictions, Emmys coming up this weekend. Let's talk the one nominee you're most rooting for. For me, Vera Farmiga, Bates Motel. And I actually think she's going to win.
So what? I'm just supposed to accept that you will take care of it, whatever that means?
I'm cheating a little bit because I want Elizabeth Moss, and I'll take her in either lead actress or miniseries lead.
But do you feel like she really had the material for Mad Men this season to warrant it, especially up against the competition she has?
I feel like she's an amazing actress. I feel like we got to see a side of Peggy this season that we haven't seen before. And I have to say, of the two, I think Top of the Lake is a much stronger bid.
Yes,
I think she
I
was
agree.
amazing in that.
And I think she has a good chance of winning that one.
I don't know how to keep living.
I'm gonna go with Amy Poehler on Parks and Recreation. It's totally her time.
I'm more competitive than you.
I don't think so.
I think so.
Settle down.
No, settle up, because the bill's been paid, and I've paid it, and I've won.
If I had any doubt, watching the season premiere for the season coming up just sealed it. I mean, the first 5 minutes of that episode are just a riot, and it's all because of Amy Poehler's performance during it.
Yeah.
Not that that's in consideration for this Emmys, but it just reminds you that, Amy Poehler just makes that show so charming and so fun to watch.
She doesn't stand a chance against Julia Louis-Dreyfus, though. Lock. Sorry. Sorry to burst your bubble. What?
You're a buzzkill.
I am.
Ultimately, we learn the most about ourselves through the losses.
Thanks, guys. Season 3. We're underway.
What are we gonna do while the credits roll? Twerk? Are we gonna twerk?
No, we are not twerking.
We're not going to twerk, but here is what we are going to do. We're going to twerk. We're twerking. I'm twerking right now.
Have you quite finished? Because most of what you say is unintelligible gibberish to me.
I'm Haley Steinfeld, and you're watching ENTV. Hi, my name is Kiernan Shipka, and you're watching ENTV.
Aubrey Plaza, ENTV. I just touched it with my mouth, sorry.